Hello and welcome to this bonus Saturday video where it's kind of a sort of sequel video to another top 5 that I done a little bit ago where I done my top 10 favorite TARDIS interiors from Doctor Who. And this time I'm going to be doing something different. Slightly different, but again it's kind of a spiritual successor to that video, and that being my top 5 favorite Doctor Who title sequence slash theme songs, whichever way you want to call it. Because on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, they're known as the title sequence or theme song. Again, it's whatever way you want to look at it. But the main reason why I'm doing 5 instead of, just ranking all of them, is because multiple Doctors have 2 versions of their theme song. And start with the Third Doctor. The Third Doctor has 2 different versions. The Fourth Doctor has 2 different versions. The Fifth Doctor doesn't. The Sixth Doctor has 2 different versions. The Seventh and Eighth and Ninth don't. The 10th does. The 11th does. 12 and 13 don't. Also, before getting into it, I'm not going to be counting Big Finish theme songs, because if I was counting Big Finish theme songs, then one of the 8th Doctor theme songs from Big Finish would be at number 1. But with that being said, let's dive straight into my top 5 favorite Doctor Who theme songs or title sequence, starting off with number 5. So I'm going with the for my number 5 pick for the Sixth Doctor version 2 theme that we seen in Trial of a Time Lord. Now I haven't seen Trial of a Time Lord itself, but this theme, according to again the official Doctor Who YouTube channels, all of the title sequence updated. It lists episodes when they were first seen. I think, I could be wrong. Most of it seems to be right, but yeah, they class this as for Trial of a Time Lord. So why did I pick this version of the theme? Well, because the Sixth Doctor's first theme for his first season is literally just the same theme song that we've had since the second version of the Fourth Doctor's theme in the 80s. Is that same theme used for his last 2 seasons, I believe, and then it moved on to all of Peter Davidson's run, and then at the very beginning of the Colin Baker run. And I just feel like the more synth feel to this version of it, especially the end part of it, just feels more like Colin's Doctor. I've seen very few of his actual TV episodes. I've more so listened to a bit more of the Big Finish audio side to his Doctor, which is where I would know his Doctor more from. But to me, the version 2 of his opening just feels that bit more better. So yeah, now let's move on to my 4th pick. So like this entire list actually, this pick was kind of difficult. It was between these 2 different Doctor's themes, and I decided to go with the second Doctor for this one. Just because it feels like it is essentially almost one-to-one like the William Hartnell version of the opening, the iconic one that was seen in the very first story, but it's done slightly better. They have it so that you see Patrick Troughton in it, but they've also updated it slightly to be able to differentiate it between the 2 Doctors, and to me it kind of feels more iconic than the original. But don't get me wrong, I love both, and just in my opinion, I decided to go for the second Doctor for this time around. So now let's move on to number 3. So my number 3rd position, again, this is kind of hard to do because between this and the next 2, they're all nostalgic for me. Like, if you were to ask me what would be the Doctor Who theme to me, it would either be one of these next 3. And my 3rd pick has to be the Fourth Doctor version 1 theme. Because to me, that theme, the look of it, screams classic Who to me. Compared to the other two that's all been on this list, and any of the other, different classic Doctor Who themes that we've had. This one, to me, is just all of those good ones, from the first Doctor to the second Doctor to both third Doctor themes, mashing together to produce this absolutely amazing and iconic version of the title sequence. And of course, there's a little bias here. Tom Baker is my personal favorite Doctor out of all of the actors and actresses who have portrayed the Doctor. So yeah, there is a teeny tiny bit of bias there, but ranking it on terms of my top three on nostalgia, it kind of falls into the third position because the other two, to me, are more nostalgic than the fourth Doctor version 1 theme. So, what are these other two? Will a modern Doctor Who title sequence actually show up? Well, yes, actually, it will in the next. So, yes, my number two is the Ninth Doctor theme. So, yeah, this is definitely the more nostalgic one of my top three by far. But the reason why it's the number two, and I'll touch on why I love number one when I get to it, but for me, the Ninth Doctor theme out of all the modern Doctor Who themes is the most nostalgic to me. It really is. And it's down to one DVD. I'm pulling it off of my bookcase because it's right behind me. And that's this. Not this exact one, but this is what I had as a kid. I've talked about this story an awful lot on this channel of my early introductions to Doctor Who. And it was after the Christmas invasion when I fully got into the show that my mother went out and bought this. Not this exact copy, but this copy of Doctor Who Series 1 Volume 2. And I was obsessed. I would watch these over the Christmas period, and even up until season 2 came out religiously. I would watch all three of these episodes back to back to back to back, and I loved every moment of it. I loved the title sequence, and I loved the Sladine, hence why I have one behind me, and I love the Daleks, obviously because of the fantastic episode Dalek, and that's why, even though I have season 1 on Blu-ray, I still keep this because of that nostalgia that's there. So that's why I decided to pick the Ninth Doctor theme instead of the two versions of the 10th Doctor theme, because when the 10th Doctor did come take over for Christmas Invasion, there's a slight change to this theme. And then, of course, during the specials, he got a different theme. The 11th Doctor has two versions of his theme. Both are good, and the same with the 12th Doctor theme. And I was very close to putting the 12th Doctor theme on here, but in the end, I just went with what I went with. So yeah, that's why I went with the Ninth Doctor title sequence as my number two, is purely thanks to this and the amount of nostalgia that I have for that. So, what is my number one? Well, let's find out. So, number one, and my most nostalgic theme song, title sequence from Doctor Who. It's got to be the TV movie. I'm sorry, it has to be the TV movie to me. Every time I listen to it, it brings me back to when I was a kid watching the TV movie for the very first time and falling in love with this theme. The song that was used, the title sequence, everything, and the movie, everything about it, I loved. I absolutely loved, and yeah, it's nostalgic to me. It's, to me, it's my personal favorite. Excluding Big Finish, because as I said, if we were including Big Finish, then the Eighth Doctor's theme, one of the title sequences in Big Finish, would have become number one then. So yeah, I have to give it to the Eighth Doctor. It's just it brings back those warm fuzzy feelings as a kid. Sitting down, watching this movie for the very first time, being introduced to essentially my first classic Doctor. Because I was still new to Doctor Who at that time, so I knew of There being that, Chris Eccleston was the ninth, David Tennant was the 10th Doctor at that time. But I knew nothing of classic Doctor Who at that point. I knew of its existence, and then it was through watching this movie, and then, of course, the BBC Three repeats of some early Tom Baker stories in 2007 that really sucked me into loving the classic Doctor Who that I love now because of this movie and because of that brilliant theme song for the movie. And so yeah, that is my top 5 favorite Doctor Who title sequences. Let me know what your favorites are in the comments down below, and thank you all for watching. And I will see you. I don't know if I have anything planned for tomorrow, but I'll definitely see you on Monday for the start of the second week of trilogy reviews, which is Tales from my backlog of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yes, it is a very first watch, and I hope you'll enjoy those reviews. Anyway, thank you all for watching once again, and subscribe for more Doctor Who content, because I do have a series review for Doctor Who coming out this month. So yeah, I'll see you then.